downtown Bombay.
God damn it, guys. I mean, Bombay is the restaurant capital of the world, right? So how come every Friday night we end up in this dump?
Because that's what you do, innit? You go out, you get tanked up on lassis, and you go for an English.
Hello there. Welcome to the traditional English restaurant. My name is James. I shall be your waiter for this evening.
Can't understand a word you're saying. Hey, speak Hindustani, boy.
Go, leave it. I've been here before. I'll handle this. What, mate?
I say, James, huh? You're my mate, ain't you, James?
It's James. James, madam.
Yeah, James, that's what I said, damn it.
Hasn't he got lovely pale skin, yeah? So nice and pasty, you know?
But you know what they say about white men, don't you?
Wow.
Okay. What we're having, huh?
Right.
Enough of that. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Fowl Original with me, Fowl Original. Fowl Original's news round here on the 12th of the 12th, 2018. We got some stories for you tonight. One of those stories was just now. Goodness gracious me. I love Goodness Gracious Me. As you can see, me and the Goodness Gracious Me crew share something. Can you tell what it is? Can you tell what it is? Can you tell? We're both brown. And they were a big comedy inspiration to me when I was younger. It was proportional representation on TV. You don't really, like, a lot of you, white privilege, don't understand the big deal that was. Anyway, this. So, first of all, thank you all for joining, and thank you for joining every evening. We do this live on Periscope, live on the YouTubes, and also live on Twitch. Thank you to Ross, Bob Ross is Bay yesterday, who popped along from Twitch. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who's joining for the first time. And yeah, hold your applause. You don't have to thank me by just liking, subscribing, following on Twitch, following on Periscope, give me them hearts, interacting in the chat, or of course going to FowlOriginal.com. If you go to FowlOriginal.com, you will see my big old bird face. See my big old bird face? Go ahead and click support the channel. Click support the channel, take you through to two options: the donate button. You can click on the Patreon, click the donate button, take you through to a PayPal donation page. Once you get there, you can go ahead and say, give me $5. And say it with me, everyone. Make this a monthly donation to help support my content on the regs. That's Fowl Original's news round, Fowl Original wrestling, and all the other bits and bobs and stuff that I do on the internet. And if you want to make it a one-off, let me know who you are. I am Asian. Thank you, Asian. Thank you. Now, my top story for today, when I read it today, was this story. Comedian asked to save. Oh, let's fix that. Fix that in post. Asked to sign behavioural contract before show. As you can see, the Fowl Original show is brought to you in front of a live studio idiot. Comedian asked to sign behavioural contracts before show. Now, this was a story that I read on the way to work today, on the bus, doing my my regular setting up for the show. Now, let's see if I can find it. And this story, whoops, fucking goddamn find it. It's about this. Oh, there it is. Sorry, folks, technical difficulties. Now, let's take you to this. Take this. So this comedian here, he was asked to sign a behavioural agreement before the gig. A comedian has turned down a gig at a university after being asked to sign a behavioural agreement first. Konstantin Kisin was warned about a no-tolerance policy on topics including racism, sexism, and transphobia. He was asked to perform at a gig at the School of African and Oriental Studies, SOAS, in London, organised by University Society UNICEF on campus. The group has since apologised. The Students' Union says it fully believes in the freedom of speech. Constantine told Radio 1 Newsbeat the experience reflects a growing trend of free speech being stifled on university campuses across the UK. He shared the behavioural agreement form online, saying the title nearly made me puke. Let's read, shall we? Just received an invitation to perform comedy at the university. The title of this contract nearly made me puke. Here it is. Let's read it together, shall we? Behavioural agreement form. The comedy night organised by Society aims to provide a safe space for everyone to come together to share and listen to comedy, with all proceeds donated to UNICEF. This is a chance for all to be entertained and overjoyed by the different performances here on this day, 23rd of January 2019. Hence, the importance of this contract. This contract has been written to ensure an environment where joy, love, and acceptance is reciprocated by all, especially that and. By signing this contract, you are agreeing to our tolerance policy with regards to racism, sexism, classism, ageism, ableism, homophobia, biphobia, transphobia, xenophobia, Islamophobia, or anti-religion or anti-atheism. Wow. All topics must be presented in a way that is respectful and kind. It does not mean that these topics cannot be discussed, but it must be done in a respectful and non-abusive way. It's going to like that. Retweet that. And here I am. Hello there, good neighbour girl and Slaydro. Now, this is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And a lot of people that are like going to say to me, like, I started this show, and the reason why I started this particular show with that clip from Goodness Gracious Me was because that's comedy to me. I am one of the minorities, and that is comedy to me. That is, in my experience, funny. Yeah, I like the fact that it's a traditional skewering of a British institution, but done in a way which both winks at people and allows the minority to make fun of their belief of and their perception of what happens when people go out for an Indian. And it's one of my favourite sketches from Goodness Gracious Me, because it's so satirically biting. A lot of the stuff they did was all catchphrase based, but this particular thing was so perfect in its execution. And it is, when I talk to people about comedy, and especially comedy like ethnic comedy, like people in the UK may start to talk about Citizen Khan. That is broad as hell. Goodness Gracious Me was from a time where they were able to make fun of those stereotypes by enacting those stereotypes. Nowadays, something like Goodness Gracious Me could not exist on television. It would probably exist in internet streaming form of some kind. But even then, it would be bound by so many rules. And the fact that a university, a place of learnings, is where this has been asked to do. And it does show, like, if we can continue on with the article, because it is quite a brief article, but bbc.co.uk. And that's the safe space form. And it says, I just think, and this is from Constantine, just think it reflects an attitude among a group of people at university particularly, where it seems they have become places of indoctrination rather than learning, he said. Students are being taught to prevent offence rather than to seek truth and pursue experiences. University used to be all about that, but now it seems they're places where students are taught to be woke. I think it reflects a broader issue where increasingly there are people who value safety or what they perceive to be safety. And Constantine was born in the Soviet Union and says that he since referenced the experience on stage. I was performing at Comedy Unleashed, a comedy night specifically focused on ensuring that comedians have a place where they don't self-censor, and I read the letter on stage, and it got a lot of groans and frustrated responses from the audience. And now UNICEF on campus said, given it's a children's charity, we wanted to make sure it was an appropriate event. We would not want to wish to impose that guests would have to agree to do anything they do not believe in. We apologize for the misunderstanding. And then Constantine also hosts a show called Trigonometry, a YouTube show that focuses on issues such as the gender pay gap, which Constantine describes as the kind of thing that you might not be able to talk about. We are trying to create a space where these discussions can be had in a nuanced, long-form way. So we interview people for an hour. We don't interrupt them very much. We try and let them speak, he explains. But he also insists he's never been out to deliberately cause offence. I'm from Russia. I joke about Novichok, and I joke about the fact that I'm Russian and my wife is Ukrainian. That's a whole big issue right now. I make fun of British people, and that's a kind of, hey, I'm a foreigner, and that's what I've noticed about you guys. Still, these certain offence could be found in almost any comedian set. If you choose to find offence, there's plenty of room to do so. I didn't turn down this gig because I'm some racist, homophobic, xenophobic, ableist comedian. I turned down this gig because if you sign a contract like that, you're exposing yourself to someone's bad interpretation. If someone writes a contract like that, the chances are that they will be hypersensitive, vigilant, and trying to catch you out. I'm just not interested in that. Now, this show always has and always will be part opinion, part news. And with that, I say, the only reason I'm not swearing and swear in this show and kind of keep it to a PG-ish level is because I want to be on YouTube as well, and I understand the platform, and I understand that I can't be like, I can talk about topics that particularly are hot button issues, but if I kind of speak from my experience and from my own straw man point of view, I feel like that's okay. And it is a bit of all free-form comedy is what I'm doing. So if I had to sign a behavioral contract before I went into somewhere, I think that automatically I'd be like, I don't really know what to say. And that particular kind of situation, universities having this woke mentality and stopping free speech before it offends someone is very, very think crimey 1984-ish and thought police. And I mean, if they wanted to go in my head, there wouldn't be enough. There wouldn't be enough officers. But you don't want to feel like everything you say. I think about things I say. I filter myself. I do. You wouldn't think it, but I do filter myself. And there's certain things that I'll be like, yeah, not even that it's not because I want to say it because I don't want to be in trouble. It's because it's not funny. And I kind of want to be able to say what I want to say. And if someone has to sign a behavioral agreement before the show, then that means that that show is a show you probably don't want to do because you probably don't need it unless they're paying really well. And then I liken it to the character of Deadpool doing a meta thing and releasing a PG-13 version of Deadpool 2. Amazing. But how Deadpool would have to act in the Marvel, in the MCU, in the wider MCU, in the Disney MCU. Hello there, we retweet and like. Hope you retweet and like me. And like, I understand, but if it was like that Deadpool was a real person, and he is a real person, just like Santa Claus, but if he was a real person, then it would be like saying, okay, cool, go over there, but you can't talk about dicks, you can't talk about boobies, you can't talk about Hello Kitty, you can't talk about these things, and then it's like, well, why am I even here? If you didn't want me, you can have a version, maybe a calmer version, but I would have been very interested to hear what his set was like as well for that night. But why invite someone? And then I can see what they were trying to do with the UNICEF thing, but then you could have just said no mature themes and then come take that from what he wants. But you say that before you book them, not when you're booking them, and with an invitation. That's really weird. Anyway, our next story for tonight is this story, which of course, that's my story for the top news. But I mean, I think, oh, we stopped. It's really annoying that it's, oh, there we go. Former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen jailed for 3 years. Sorry for covering Trump's dirty deeds. All right, dirty deeds. We all knew it was going to happen. And I didn't think that it would happen so fast. Just talked 15 minutes about that comedian has to sign a behavioral contract. I want to just say that how fun is this? That now we know Trump's running scared. Very briefly, I'm just going to tell you what happened and just pull in the story for you. Oh, wrong. And again. So Michael Cohen blames Trump's dirty deeds as he is jailed. He walked free from the court, but will have to report to jail in March. And he once said he'd take a bullet for him. Now, he only has a 36-month prison sentence, which is quite impressive. And now he's admitted lying to Congress, campaign finance violations and tax evasion. 52, he blamed his crimes on Mr. Trump. And he says that Mr. Trump caused him to follow a path of darkness rather than light. He told the court his weakness was a blind loyalty to Donald Trump and that he felt it was my duty to cover up his dirty deeds. He will serve his term concurrently with the 2-month sentence he was given for lying to Congress and about that possible Trump Tower project in Moscow, a charge leveled by special counsel Robert Mueller. The judge gave Cohen until 6th of March to report to Otisville Prison in upstate New York. In addition to the jail term, he was also ordered to forfeit nearly $2 million. As he left the court, Cohen did not pause to speak to journalists. Mr. Trump ignored reporters as they asked for the reaction letter of the White House. Amazing as well. Reporters coming in going, what about these dirty deeds, Mr. Trump? What about these dirty deeds? And he said not one word. And if there's a lesson to be learned from the two Michaels, it's that deals with federal prosecutors are best done quickly. Former Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, when confronted by the special counsel's office, was quick to cooperate. He may end up with a sentence that includes no jail time. Michael Cohen, on the other hand, initially put up a legal fight. Prosecutors say he never fully cooperated, and now he's facing 3 years in prison. Another message from the fate of the two Trump associates is that Mr. Trump's business dealings, not Russian election meddling, could present a greater legal threat to the president. According to Mr. Cohen's lawyer, his client had the misfortune of being the president's personal lawyer, business partner, and all-around fixer for more than a decade. When investigators began digging into his actions, they uncovered a variety of chargeable crimes. By all accounts, Mr. Trump's larger business empire is getting similar scrutiny. His long-term accountant is cooperating with investigators. There's no telling where Mr. Mueller's Russia investigation will end up. One thing is clear, it's not the only shark circling the White House. And it quickly goes into his crimes, which are paying off Stormy Daniels and other women, potentially, who he had relations with, and all that hush money as the candidate, at the behest of the candidate. And all of that is witch hunt. Mr. Trump said last month that Cohen was weak and not a very smart person, which is why Cohen used that phrase weak. And Mr. Trump called Mr. Mueller, his inquiry, a witch hunt. Now, who else has been implicated? Michael Flynn, over here, the former US National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, and ex-Trump campaign chief Paul Manafort, and Mr. Manafort convicted of fraud and cooperating with the Special Counsel's inquiry. Last Friday, Mr. Mueller's team released a memo alleging he had breached a plea agreement by lying to investigators. So it is all popping off, and he's gone to jail. The question is, when does Mr. Trump go to jail? And finally, I mean, even though this is again our biggest story probably in the UK, she survived. She got away with it. 117 Conservative MPs vote against her, but Theresa May survives the no-confidence vote. And she is now immune from elimination from number 10 Downing Street, the big Conservative house, for 1 year. They can't get another leadership challenge for 1 year. That's amazing. I can't believe. And she's slid through. And let's just very, very briefly touch upon it, because even though it is probably a pretty big story, and we spent a lot of time talking about my story I wanted to talk about. So, done it again. Let's take you to this story. So this again from the bbc.co.uk. How Tory MPs said they would vote in a no-confidence ballot. Now, it says that she survived the no-confidence on Wednesday evening. That was 1 hour ago, and that's why I was a little bit late. I was watching the news, see if anything else popping up. Now, the ballot was secret, so an MP's public declaration might not match up to the mark they made on the ballot paper. And many MPs said publicly how they were going to vote. Now, we now know that 200 Tory MPs backed her leadership, while 117 voted against. And the figures below reflect how they said they would vote before the ballot. So it depends if they kind of done this. So now remember the 188 for, so 200 backed in the end, but 488 MP for Hitchin and Harpenden, a whole bunch of people here. Utterly dismayed at the sheer indulgence being shown by some of my parliamentary colleagues at this time of national crisis. Quite why they think a change in leader is the right course of action is beyond me. That's Heidi Allen, MP for South Cambridgeshire. Steve Barclay, I fully support, the Brexit Secretary. I fully support the PM's crucial stage, weeks to go. MP for Rossendale and Darwin, people in the Northern Powerhouse back Theresa May. MP for, so you can see there's 188 that were there for her, so some of them have continued to vote. Matt Hancock, Prime Minister, is battling for Britain. And the people who said they would vote against, we had 35 that publicly said that they would vote against. So another 100 people kept quiet. Got Crispin Blunt and Nadine Dorries. If MPs with small majorities vote to keep the Prime Minister tonight, they'll be voting to secure her in place for the next 12 months, which means she will very likely lead us into the next general election. Labour will be hoping and praying that we all wimp out. And then the UK changed Prime Minister in May 1940 in the middle of a monstrously greater national crisis than this. If it has to be done, it has to be done. It's Bernard Jenkin. And I take it that those cabinet ministers defending the PM this morning who will not put their name in to succeed her if there is a leadership challenge, I hope colleagues will vote the right way this evening. It is time that we had a new leader to save Brexit and unite our country. And then Jacob Rees-Mogg, of course, famously left as Brexit Secretary. The country needs a new leader. It is time for Mrs. May to resign. And the big thing to come out of this really is that even though she survived, it's 117. Is it 118? Well, it is 117, isn't it? Yeah, 117. Bear in mind, 200 voted for, 117 against. Again, a very split Brexity kind of referendum-y kind of thing, but very close margins. And it shows that essentially half of her party do not back her. She made some promises earlier on today that if they voted for her, if they voted for the confidence in her, that she would leave before the next general election so that they would have a chance to win. So she wants to be there for Brexit, but I have to give this woman credit, so much credit. I've never seen anyone claw and remain in a position so perfectly for so long. Just slide by every time. I salute you, Ms. May. Yeah, you have done what I didn't think. I remember today, I was like, she'll be gone. There's a no confidence vote. She's gone. And she survived. She absolutely survived. And I wonder what this means for the future of Brexit. But let's find out, I guess. Yeah, so those are the top stories for today, really. But of course, we've got more to talk about. And if you liked what you saw there, if you liked all that stuff, then you can help support the channel by going to fowloriginal.com. If you go to fowloriginal.com, you will see my big old bird face. You see my big old bird face? Go ahead and click support the channel. Click support the channel, will take you to two options. You can click the donate button, you can click on Patreon, click the donate button, it will take you through to a PayPal donation page. And once you get there, as I said, you can go ahead and say, give me $5 and say it with me, everyone. Make this a monthly donation, help support my content on the regs. Fowl Originals News Round, Fowl Original Wrestling, all the other bits and bobs of stuff that I do on the internet. Yes. And if you want to get a one-off donation, then you can go ahead and say, I am Theresa May. May I help you? Yes, Theresa, you may help me. $5 will be more than enough. Now, let's quickly, with not a lot of time tonight, zip into our next segment, which is, you all know what it is. You all know what it is. It's Twitter time. It's Twitter time. Hello everyone and welcome to Twitter time here on Wednesday the 12th of December 2018. It's Twitter time. Whoops. It's Twitter time. Picked up the wrong thing there. So yes, Twitter time tonight. We're going to very, very briefly go through it so I can get into the metro moments. But we've got a few things in Twitter time. So let's take over Twitter time. So today on Twitter, in moments, we have Theresa May wins a confidence vote by 117 MPs go against her. Meghan Markle wore black nail polish and it sparked a debate. Phil Jones is the first Man United player to score a Champions League own goal since Phil Jones. Stuff. Claude Littner does not shake hands on The Apprentice. Hilarious. Now, what does the vote of no confidence mean? But the story I wanted to bring to you from Twitter time today was Sesame Street introducing a homeless puppet. Lily, who first appeared on the show 7 years ago to address child hunger, is making a comeback as Sesame Street's first Muppet without a home. As you can see, there's Lily. Sesame Street addresses homelessness. Lily, a character introduced 7 years ago to address child hunger, returns. This time her family does not have a place to live. And as you can see, this is from USA Today. She'll be the first Sesame Street character to be homeless. And we don't have her in an apartment anymore. And it will teach kids a lesson of hope. We've been staying in all kinds of different places. Now, obviously, Sesame Workshop wants to provide hope for kids without homes, and that's one good thing that I always used to love about Sesame Street. Really, really did, help. Now, it's helping people kids out there who are underserved. They really are underserved now. She's introduced in 2011 to address the child hunger issues, as a family was experiencing food insecurity during the credit crunch, but now they're homeless. As you can see, this from the Sesame, and it's a really, there's Elmo. Elmo has some friends who don't have a house or an apartment to stay in right now, and it's absolutely it's heartbreaking, and having it as a child especially is so it's heartbreaking, yeah. And these are some kids. These are kids who are homeless. And look at them. They're full of joy and they're full of hope, and they just wanna. They just wanna. It's gonna cry. And then they realised that 2.5 million children nationally are homeless, and it needed attention. And oh my God, it's gonna get that attention. It really is. Now, also in Twitter time today, we have a story about, where is it? Study finds female-led films overperform male ones. Female-led movies have consistently overperformed male ones over the past 4 years. A new study conducted by the Creative Arts Agency and Shift 7 finds. So there's Wonder Woman, and it outperformed male-led hits. This is from TikTok, from Bloomberg. Now, a new study analysed 4 years worth of films. This is from Christian Amanpour, and it shows that the top movies from 2014 to 2017 starring women earned more than male-led films, whether they were made for less than $10 million or for $100 million or more. So that's consistency, and found that for every $1 billion film at the box office, including films like Star Wars, The Force Awakens, Jurassic World, and Beauty and the Beast, they passed the Bechdel test. So that's very interesting as well. And the Bechdel test being, for those of you that don't know, a very, very specific, let me just zip over here, a very, very specific test which is brought in, where they look at the percentage of time which is spent where women chat about their fellas. Ooh, they can't earn a scene which doesn't have, is just a scene which involves women, as opposed to a scene where women go, oh, missing my boo, and pass the Bechdel test. Anyway, let's just go back. And also in Twitter time today, before we wrap up the Twitter times for this evening, is WWE stars show support for cruiserweight Mustafa Ali. But because this isn't a wrestling show, it's actually this one. Being frugal can be a waiting game. And for Neon Fiona, the prize was half-price potato wedges. See, $1.50. If you think I've stood in this supermarket for like 15 minutes now doing nothing because I'm convinced the wedges will be reduced soon, you are 100% correct. It has 3:15 as the timestamp, and it's now 6:25. And surely they don't leave things longer than 3 hours. That's gross. I mean, it's not gross enough for me to not eat it, but gross enough for it to be reduced in the hopes of selling it to normal people. I faked 2 phone calls to my seemingly awful housemates who won't send me what they want. Can I please just get my reduced wedges already? It's weird that I've been at this tiny supermarket doing nothing for nearly 30 minutes, but we are so close. The reduced sticker marker is out, and I'm honestly just invested at this point. Success! Pretty inspirational thread here, folks. We love a thrifty queen. This was some real dedication. Best story of the day. And of course, actually, lastly, before we end, this story, which from the land of chocolate, there was a huge chocolate spill in Germany. It took 25 firefighters with shovels to clear the molten chocolate, which had leaked out of a factory in West Germany and frozen to the road in the wintry temperatures. Look at it. It looks like an ad. Spilt chocolate is seen on the road in Werl, Germany. More images of spilled cargo around the world. I mean, thanks. Spill. A massive chocolate spill left a sweet, sweet mess on the streets. And you see firefighters. Oh, I like this. Everyone's got themselves a little video now, haven't they? I think this is because they've changed it on someone changed it on YouTube. It's autoplay now. Firefighters shoveled the bulk aside in chunks before specialist cleaners took over. Let's get it at. See, look. All that chocolate. They chip away 1 ton of milk chocolate that had flown out of the factory and frozen on the pavement. It looks amazing. Meanwhile, in Germany, major chocolate spill. Yes, you read that right. And that is all for Twitter time this evening. Oh, come back to this. Oh. Now, for those of you that have already supported the channel, thank you very much. And for those of you that haven't, if you're watching this live, or just get to the 30-minute mark, we're about to run out of time. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you very much. Thumbs up the video, subscribe. If you're watching on Twitch, again, thank you very much. You're free to auto-host me if you want. And also, if you're watching on Periscope, then hit the hearts, follow. Now, our last section of the evening, I don't have time for the Metro, it seems. So instead, you're going to get In Other News. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Oh, that was a bit loud. Hello, everyone, and welcome to. It's really loud, isn't it? Hello, I'm spine peeking there. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another In Other News here on Fowl Originals News Round on Wednesday, the 12th of December. And funny. I think they're funny stories today, really. So I think this is probably the best. Now, excuse me. What the hell? I think actually that's probably the best. Now, this story from BBC News, yeah, had to feature it in Other News. I mean, I would have been bereft of my duties as a newsman if I didn't. But look at this story. And then look at the headline. Robot turns out to be man in suit. The robot turned out to be a man inside a suit. A robot on a show at a Russian state-sponsored at a Russian state-sponsored event turned out to be a man dressed in a costume. Robot Boris featured on Russian TV and was apparently able to walk, talk, and dance. He can dance. But soon after its appearance, journalists began to question the bot's authenticity. In a picture published afterwards on social media, the neck of a person was clearly visible. The robot is in fact a 250,000, so a ruble, 2,975 costume called Alyosha the Robot, made by a company called Show Robots. The robot suit creates illusion of a real robot, say makers, while the organizers of a Proyectoria Technology Forum, which was aimed at youngsters, had not claimed the robot was real. The TV coverage on Russia 24 suggested it was. A Russian website, T-Journal, raised concerns about the robot, asking a series of questions. Why did the robot feature no sensors? How did Russian scientists get the robot made so quickly, with no papers published about it beforehand? Why has there been no internet coverage of such an advanced robot? Why did robot make so many unnecessary movements during its dance? Why did it look like a man would fit perfectly inside? Why offer a pre-recording of its voice rather than do it live? On the website of the firm behind the Alyosha robot costume, the product is described as being able to create an almost complete illusion that you have a real robot. I mean, that's just fantastic, really, isn't it? And also, in other news today, not so funny, really, and a bit of a sparking of debate, really, but India delivery man sacked for eating food sparks sympathy. Now, a Zomato delivery driver, so over here in the UK, we've got like Just Eat, Deliveroo, I'm guessing got similar situation in the US, but the sacking of I know there's Just Eat in the US, actually, the sacking of a food delivery man, Uber Eats, actually got Uber Eats, Sacking of a food delivery man in India after he was filmed eating a client's food and resealing the containers has sparked a conversation about the delivery industry in the country. The BBC finds out more. The video, which was filmed in Madurai in southern India, shows the delivery man who's wearing a t-shirt from popular Indian food delivery app Zomato eating food out of boxed orders, then resealing them and putting them back into a delivery bag. It's my ultimate fear for delivery people. This is why I literally just order pizzas. Initially met with disgust, anger, and ridicule, the video was watched thousands of times, and we're going to watch it again right now. So that's had 21,000 views over on the internet, and it's a very big story because it goes to show that social reactions prompted Zomato, India's biggest food delivery company, to react that they took food tampering very seriously. With their statement, we have spoken to him at length, and while we understand this was a human error in judgment, we have taken him off our platform. However, with the news that Zomato has decided to terminate the employment of the unidentified delivery man, the conversation began to turn more sympathetic. Many pointed to long work hours, difficult conditions, and poor pay as serious issues faced by delivery employees. The Zomato delivery chap eating from various orders is depressing. It's what happens when you make people who can't afford a square meal keep handling mountains of food. All food deliveries should offer 1 to 2 square meals a day for the delivery people. It's only fair. Feeling bad about the Zomato delivery guy. Everyone knows how exploited these guys are in India. There's so much competition that many of these guys can't even afford to sit and have a meal lest they lose one more delivery. And some delivery people the BBC spoke to had similar problems. Earlier, we used to get 60 rupees, so 85 cents per delivery. Then from 60, it became 40. That's massive. Still, I continued because I had to educate my children. Now the company is planning to make it 30 rupees per delivery. So 30 rupees being about 40 cents per delivery, being about 30p or thereabouts per delivery. But I have expenses. Petrol is expensive. I have children as well. Tell me, what should I do? One delivery person who didn't want to be identified told the BBC. Another said, I'm the sole bread earner in my family. In case I have an accident, I don't have an insurance policy. The company doesn't give us insurance either. If there's a mishap, then I will be in trouble. The company should think about that. And it's quite new in India, but of course it is quickly growing, and it's because of those rich Indians that exist now, and that places like Amazon, Flipkart also are employing people to act as delivery staff. And there's 6 to 8 million people joining the Indian workforce every year, and it employs around 150,000 delivery people across India, while Swiggy does, another food one, does 100,000, and they claim they're receiving and Zomato said they were receiving 21 million food orders per month, which is amazing. And there's no estimation of how much it's worth, but obviously it is growing. And one delivery person who said that he wanted to be identified by his first name, Deepak, confirmed he'd never been penalised for taking a break, but with companies hiring more and more delivery people, it was getting harder for him to earn more money, and customers almost never tipped. He also told the BBC that he had seen the video of the Zomato delivery person, but said he had no sympathy for him. Wrong is wrong. Where is the question of sympathy? You shouldn't have done this. If someone gave you jutta food, would you eat it half eaten? Now, yeah, it is. It looks as if it's just terrible in a sense of, I can't believe that he had to do that to survive. But it goes to show that that new class of people that are existing within India, people that exist now because of the burgeoning technological industry, that there are people that are doing phones right now and technical support They want food delivered, and they are looking to the West and thinking, well, why don't we have these things? The Indian market is untapped. 100,000 drivers. That's nothing. Like, but imagine when you've got more companies, and so a company like Uber, who have shown that all you have to do is flood the marketplace with supply, price will instinctively come down anyway because the supply is increased, the demand remains the same. And all that happens is you price out every other company, and then you price out any independent because they can't deal with that money and they just join you. That's what's happened to a lot of taxi drivers over here in the UK, on Uber and around the world, really. But yes, that's all our in other news for this evening. So let's take you back to our top 3 stories for today, which were comedian asked to sign behavioural contract before show. Of course, other big news, former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen jailed for 3 years, sorry for covering Trump's dirty deeds. He will be singing like a canary. And also, of course, the other big news, 117 Conservative MPs vote against her, but Theresa May survives the no-confidence vote. Now, I wanted to keep these shows under half an hour, but it looks as if I'm just slipping. So thank you all for watching tonight. If you want to help support the channel, as I've said on many times, and I will say it again because I've got to say it before the end of the show last night. I remember kicking myself because I was like, oh my God. But if you want to help, I'm like this all the time. If you want to support the channel, you can go to fowloriginal.com. If you go to fowloriginal.com, you will see my big old bird face. See my big old bird face? You can go ahead and click support the channel. Once you click support the channel, it'll take you through to 2 options. You can click the donate button to become a Patreon. Click the donate button. It will take you through to a PayPal donation page. Once you get there, it will go ahead and say, give me $5. And say with me, everyone, make this a monthly donation to help support my content on the regs. That's Fowl Originals Newsround, Fowl Original Wrestling, all the other bits and bobs and stuff that I'm doing on the internet. If you want to make it a one-off, you can go ahead and say, I'm the blandest thing on the menu. The blandest thing on the menu, yar. Yar. Like a pirate. Yar. Hello there, Nicole Lee. I'm ending the show now. Thank you very much for joining. I will leave you, so I would suggest you go back to the beginning. And obviously, as this being our kind of top story for the evening, comedian being asked to sign behavioural contract before a show, I will leave you with something which always seems to get me copyright struck on YouTube. I just like TV. Can't you deal with that, YouTube? If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. If you're watching this on Periscope, thank you very much as well. If you're watching this on Twitch, also thank you. Now, let's take you to that copyright strike breaking incident, which is probably going to happen. Let's take you to another thing from Goodness Gracious Me, actually. Which is actually, it's got to be this one. Now, as I said, I am a person who... Oh, wait, no, not this. Sorry, folks. This should do it. Come on. Yes. All right. So I'm going to leave you again with something from Goodness Gracious Me. Comedy that wouldn't exist now because someone would be offended. And as I said before, if you're in the UK, Citizen Khan is very, very similar, but it's very broad and it doesn't... It's more about, oh, look at the funny guy. This, which is a satirical swipe at preconceived notions about Asian culture. I'm Fowl Original, and I love you all. Thank you for helping me get to 8,000 followers as well on Twitter. That is like absolutely crazy. But let's take you to that this before talking about it too much. So this is also from a Goodness Gracious Me, and this is one of my favorite because again, this is something that any Asian could relate to. Any Asian could. That's why I used to love Goodness Gracious Me. I bloody loved it. I did. I basically want to say hi. So I said, it's all right, Nicole. Don't you worry about it. Thank you for saying hello. Thank you for saying hello. And join me for tomorrow if you can. I don't know why I did that actually. But yes, let's come say hello in the DMs if you want. That sounded sexual. It's not sexual, is it? Kind of, maybe. Anyway, let's take you to this.
Last we're together.
And we'll never be parted again.
Oh, come here, darling. I've waited so long for this.
Oh, yes.
Oh, there it is.
Here we go, here we go, here we go.
This doll is fantastic. You can put it very tasty. Best doll I've ever had in my life. There you go. That's fantastic.
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Okay, we've got one more.
The most feared dinosaur of its time. Fast, strong, and deadly. A predator without peer.
Heck yeah.
And as you can see, it also had a 15-foot penis.
This doll is fantastic.
Okay. We're gonna zip back. But anyway, thank you all for joining tonight. If you want to help support the channel, I'll be back tomorrow at 10:30 p.m. for more news round, and I'll be back on Sunday for the weekly wrestling recap where we talk about the Graps. This week we're gonna be watching TLC live and also at 8 p.m. Check out my Twitter for loads more stuff. Anyway. Exactly, Nicole. Exactly. It's fantastic. Anyway, this is my favorite one. This is my favorite one. Before I leave, if I'm gonna get copyright struck, let's get them properly. This is my absolute favorite one. Bye, Nicole. Bye. And then we'll leave this show. Thank you all for joining. This has been Fowl Original. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Join me tomorrow.
This doll is fantastic.